Looks like we're just waiting for Mike. So I hope you guys can hear me. So I'm just going to check who is joined, who's on the call. So we're going to give Mike just a little bit of time to join, and we'll get started very, very soon. All right, Mike is here.
Morning.
Mike, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
Fantastic, thank you. How's your Thursday morning?
Good, very good.
Good, that's amazing.
I forgot for a minute that you're an hour ahead instead of 2 hours ahead, or 2 hours ahead instead of 1.
Yeah.
So I was running a little late.
That's no problem. We're excited to get started. We have a little bit of audience that's joining us. I'm sure there will be some good questions today. So for those of you who are ready, please use the comments in the chat on the bottom left, I think. All right. So Mike, I'm super excited. You and I have been chatting for the last, 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks now, trying to get everything lined up and connected. I think you and I started the conversation after your interview with Dr. Tom Larkin.
Yes.
And he pretty much introduced the company to the dental, and it really sparked the attention because there's a lot going on after COVID, and there's a lot of conversation about infection control and how we can address that pretty quickly. And it seems like you guys are the experts, and like I couldn't wait to have a conversation because there's a lot of conversation right now is on fogging and is it working? Is it not working? But before we jump there, I just want to make a quick introduction for everybody. So Mike is a VP of marketing and new product development at Cloudburst, which is a world leader in misting systems engineering and manufacturing. Prior to partnering with Cloudburst, Mike was involved in several businesses, startups, and ownerships, including iMist LLC, which is a company specializing in development and sales of personal portable misting and spraying products. So he's a serial inventor, which is amazing. It's always awesome to talk to people who actually invented the product with multiple patents and first-to-market products in the portfolio. Seems like Mike loves solving problems. I might be wrong, but it sounds like it, right?
Yeah.
And creating new things. And your two favorite words are what if and why not. And that's where I want to start. Why not?
Why not, right?
Exactly. Why is everybody so either interested about fogging and why somebody is not interested and why there's some of the concerns?
There's a lot of stuff going on, obviously, because of the pandemic. It's brought to the attention that people need to disinfect. I understand where people are coming from. I mean, up till February, until this started, I think I told you, is disinfecting to me was washing my hands before I ate. I didn't know, I had Clorox spray for my bag. I didn't know really much about it. Our company, we make a lot of applicators for disinfecting before this happened in the high pressure side, but it really was just a part of our business. When the pandemic started, it became pretty much dropped everything after looking at what was being used out there and said, there has to be a better way, so let's make something. Since then, I've become much more aware of what disinfecting is. So I understand, it's dentists know they need to keep their office clean and stuff like that, but now they're being told by the EPA and all this stuff and reopening stuff that they have to do certain things, and no one really knows exactly what to do. So why fogging? Why misting? Why disinfecting? Those are all terms we'll cover through this thing. But number one, you obviously want to keep your patient safe. You want to keep your staff safe. Why people wouldn't want to do it? Just because they don't understand it, I guess.
Yeah, and I feel like one of the concerns was, Mike, and we're going to be bouncing around today. We probably should have started with the whole technology itself, but hopefully we'll get to it in a second. But I think one of the concerns that people have is equipment. You know, how that might potentially destroy equipment. These are the things that I've heard. So I really want to make sure that we address some of these things.
Yes, absolutely. I want to cover that stuff. I'll let you kind of direct it. I can jump into who we are, what we make, and the difference in technologies. First off, just so everybody understands, I mean, we're not a disinfecting company, right? We are and have been. We've been a leader in the misting technology business. We know how to atomize liquids into either fog, spray, mist, whatever we want to do with it. That's what we can do. We can do that better, we feel, than most people can. We've been doing it since 1994. We're the first ones to commercialize misting systems. You've seen us on the sidelines of the NFL games and all that stuff. I can go into more of our company. I don't want to jump ahead. But with that said, what we bring to the table is we know how to take a disinfectant, whether it's HOCl or quad ammonia or whatever the disinfectant of your choice is, and we know how to atomize it so that it does what it's supposed to do, right? We do that better than most of the products out there.
That's amazing. So I guess let's start with the product itself. How did you guys develop the product? What does it look like? What it works best with, and maybe we can start from there.
Well, do you want to talk specifically about the one that the dentists are going crazy about, the handheld?
Yep. The 16 ounce.
The 16-ounce handheld, which is our little guy, right? I have it sit back here.
Yeah.
It's an unlabeled version, and I'll show it to you. Yeah, and maybe if we have time, I can bring up our catalog and we can show you some of the stuff. But we go from this to every size up in disinfecting applicators you can imagine, to the size of a truck that's twice as big as a semi-truck that's used to disinfect large areas like mining operations. It's also used for dust control. So this is just one little guy, which we're really proud of, right? But it's, when it comes to our technology, it's kind of like you look at it compared to the truck product that we make. It's kind of like, well, that's a little thing. But you want to just jump right into it, right? Right. What this is, it's a product. It was the core of the product was developed for a different application. What it is, it's a pump-up sprayer, basically on steroids. So what it does, we've taken basically a pressurized system, which is a pump-up system, and we've re-engineered it so that it will actually hold up to 90 psi. Right. So after you pump this, pump it. Right. Most of the things that you do that with will maybe hold 40 psi, 30 psi. Right? This guy will actually it will hold up to 120 psi. We rated it at 90 psi. A lot of pressure for a little vessel, and then the bottle is designed to hold that pressure, and that pressure is used to take the liquid out of the bottle and go through a patent pending, technology of our nozzle and our pressure, right? The nozzle's on the end, right? If you see it, it's a 5-nozzle multi-directional cluster. And what that does, instead of just having a single pattern of mist, it combines all the patterns into one cloud, right? And what that does is it gives you a real high density so that all the particles are very tight together, so it applies onto the surface very evenly and gives you a nice fine coat instead of little spatters of spray that you get out of a spray bottle, right? So if you pump it up, I have a few pumps in it already. You have to pump it usually about 10 to 15 times once it's filled. There's no batteries. It's just all hand pressurized, right? You get that.
So can you tell us why the 90 psi is so important compared to 45?
If you have to match the pressure with the nozzle. So if you add 40 psi, you have to use a different kind of nozzle, which that can't atomize it as much. So to drive it through these nozzles, which I can show you on screen share, but this has a 0.012 inch. You can't even see the hole, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you try to push liquid through that nozzle at 40 psi, it will come out this little stream, right? So you have to have a certain pressure to match with the nozzle. This will actually work. This cluster will actually work between very well, right? 60 and 100 psi, right?
Mm-hmm.
Say 90 psi because that's the average of where you're running it. Probably don't even have it charged all the way. You can add some more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A little stronger. You can't, I don't not really set up to demo it, but it's basically
yeah.
it's a mist that's similar. I compare it to, if you imagine taking an aerosol, like a Lysol disinfectant spray can,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know what kind of mist or spray comes out of that. That's done
Yeah.
through high pressure aerosol. And you can't reuse it. You throw away the can, right? This puts out a better mist than even those cans. If you know how that works, you know how this works.
Mm-hmm. So if we have the applicator, so basically the company and the patent pending technology that you have is for the applicator, right? The 16-ounce bottle with a green head on it. And I know that the chemical that goes inside is not particularly what you guys develop, but I think we're going to be listing it on Zen, the atmosphere. So can we talk about how the two work together?
Yes, how we came about that is, again, our mist technology is used in a lot of industrial applications, and we do a lot of we had done a little bit of disinfecting, right, for packaging lines and for meat packaging, just disinfect conveyors, bigger stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
The portable stuff was pretty much all developed because of the need, because of the pandemic, but we also do a lot of deodorizing stuff, and so our product was sold into and purchased by a lot of the large disinfectant companies as a way to apply their disinfectant. And we had a really good relationship with a company called Atmosphere, who makes a patented formula of aquatic ammonia. We will go into that later. Our relationship with them allowed us to become a certified distributor of that product, which is, we weren't looking to do that. We did it again because of the pandemic and because of the need that was brought to us. Is, okay, you have great applicators, what do we put in it? And we searched around. Right now, if you're somebody new wanting to sell a disinfectant, even if I went to them, and I went to several companies, see if we had alternatives, and said, we have $1 million we want to give to you to buy your product, and we'll buy 20 truckloads today, right? 6 months ago, they would have said, great, this is great. Now they laugh at you. They say, good luck. It's like, we're not taking new customers on, and we're back ordered. Most disinfectant companies are back ordered 6 months.
Yeah.
Right. So to be able to have a relationship that allowed us to actually get an allotment of a really good product. The Atmosphere product is good. It's a quad ammonia. It's better than any other product in its class, I feel, because it's very pH neutral. It's a true disinfectant, so it's a 6-log 99.9999, and it's safe for all surfaces. It doesn't hurt your skin, doesn't hurt your eyes. It's a good product. We'll go into it a little later.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's go into the product now, if you don't mind. So if we need to share the screen, I can help you do that, or the files that you sent me, I can share them as well. So there's that button.
You want to go through? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
You want to go through the Atmosphere product right now, or what do you want to go through?
Let's start with the applicator product. So if you have anything to share, let's look at it, and then slowly let's go into the Atmosphere, because I think for our dental teams, they will be curious to see what that chemical would look like, what the product would look like, because obviously that's what's going to be touching the surfaces. So I think if we start with an applicator and then go to the actual chemical, that would be awesome.
Sure. Do you have the? I didn't have time to download. Do you have the main, just the picture that I sent you, the rotating?
Yep.
Can you pop that up?
Just a second. The picture.
Certainly.
I might still have the old one, so let me. No, actually, I do have the new one. Okay, awesome. So let me switch to content, share. All right, so let's see. We're looking at the product right here, right? This one?
That is one of the pictures, right? It now the gray color is actually the new color coming in on our new shipment coming in. Right now, it's actually green. But same product, right? I was hoping that I had sent you a larger picture, but that's the labeled product. That's what we're shipping out today. It's with a green top. Then just to show off the product, what I'm going to do is figure it out. I'm just going to show a few videos of it. How do I share the screen here?
So you should have a button that says switch to content on the right side.
Yes, that's share.
Yep. And then it should allow you to share the video files or the YouTube link.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop up my YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to bore people with too much stuff. Oh.
Bunch of technical.
What I really want to do is I'm just going to show you just so you get an idea of how this little thing actually works. This is important to understand. I mean, if you look at compared to other products, the ULV sprayers, the electrostatics, I'd like to go into comparisons later, that are costing hundreds and hundreds of dollars, don't actually. There's pros and cons to all of them, of course, but this little thing allows, I think why it's such a hit for dentists is that it allows you to disinfect your stations real quickly without having to plug something in, carry around this big hose, have this big thing blowing air all over the place. It's just and it delivers a mist that I feel is actually better than some of the bigger, more expensive stuff. I'm just going to show you the latest promo video. Now, are you seeing this, Tiger?
I am not yet. Switch to AV.
It's buffering.
And you're doing it through the switch to content button, right, on the live stream?
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Technical difficulties.
Interesting. Is that the video that you sent me?
So did you just have a blank? Shared items will be displayed here. So once I have that popped up, Tiger, do I just go to the screen I want to share?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to try it again.
Yeah, so when you choose switch to content, then you should be able to click the button at which screen you want to share, and then it should work.
Nothing's coming up right now?
Not yet.
When I hit that, all I get a white thing that says shared items will be displayed here. Currently, there is no active items.
Interesting. Let's do this. If you send me that in an email very quick, I'll be able to pull it up and play the video. I'm not sure why it's not working on your end, but we'll figure it out.
I'm used to Zoom and Whereby and some other ones. Typically when you do it, you just go into so once you hit that, you click on whatever thing in your computer you want to display, right?
Yeah, when I click the button switch to content, then I have the button open share menu. I'm not sure if you have that menu.
I do not. That's not showing me that. No. So okay, I'm just going to send you a link to our YouTube channel.
Yep. And you can even use the chat on the left side in this the right where we are on the left. If you send that link.
Sounds good. Bear with me. I'm a little bit of a podcast novice.
Yeah, and we already have questions. So Rhonda is asking, Rhonda, how are you? So Rhonda is asking, I'm eager to learn about the times and protocols. So we'll get to that in a second to address that too. Mike, you sending this link?
Yes, I am sending it.
Here in the chat?
Now. Get
awesome. Yep, awesome. So everybody will be able to access it. And what I'll do here.
There's a bunch of videos in there. It's my whole YouTube channel. I can walk through a couple of them that I want to show.
Okay, interesting. I'm just going to share my screen. Is Rhonda asking more questions?
No, I just see her in the chat.
Oh, she will ask more. That's Rhonda. She's awesome. Okay, so I have your YouTube channel up. Which video would you like me to play?
Just go to the first one that shows the bottle with a label on it.
Is this good?
A latest promo.
Mm-hmm.
Show you just at the end of it, you see how it's actually being applied. I believe it's in a kitchen. And you'll see how the mist lofts and lays down onto the surface very nicely.
Wow.
I'm not seeing it, by the way.
You have a button. You can switch to content.
Oh, I have to switch now.
Yep. Can you see it?
Yep. This is screen loading. So what you're seeing there, you're seeing when you want to apply disinfectant, you have to apply it so that it's even, meaning that you don't have spaces, right? If it's not dense enough and you get a bunch of droplets into it that are spaced apart, every place it's spaced apart, whether it's a micron or whatever, that's not being disinfected. So you want a real tight mist pattern to lay over very evenly, which you saw in that video. And then you want it dense enough that you can control how wet you get the surface. As you saw on that, as you went across there, all the mist went down to ground. It wasn't the fog type, when we'll talk about the difference between fog and mist and spray. It wasn't the kind that actually just fogs and just kind of goes into the air like smoke. It doesn't really do any good. It needs to all go down to the surface. So it lays it down, and what he did right there, that quick stroke that he did and showed on there, that surface was wet, perfectly wet enough to meet the dwell time of most disinfectants. Dwell time, just so you know, is the read the directions of any disinfectant. It will give you dwell time, which is how long you need to keep it damp and undisturbed. So when you put on a disinfectant, you're not supposed to wipe it off right away, and it's not supposed to dry too quickly. So if you put a really light coat on it and it dries in 5 seconds right away, or you wipe it off, 10 seconds after you spray it, you're not really disinfecting. You have to let it sit with the viruses, and that's how it kills. Right? So on that video, I just wanted you to see how that works, right? So imagine trying to do that with a big ULV fogger with 20-mile-an-hour airflow, trying to spray that on in different applications. So that's what I want to show you on that.
Okay. So
you want to go to Rhonda's questions, or?
Yeah. So I'm just curious now. And again, more to apply to the dental. So in the treatment room, if we're using the applicator with the atmosphere chemical, so what's the procedure? How would we use it, and what's going to be the whole time?
Well, it depends on, the atmosphere chemical right now has a 10-minute dwell time by EPA label. It's been sent in for testing because the EPA is like any government body. It just depends on a lot of things, but so we sent it in because we know that it actually has a much faster dwell time claim. So we've had it independently tested, and we're getting a 3-minute dwell time and meeting all. So you have to prove to the EPA through the test that if you have a 3-minute dwell time, it's killing the 99.99% of all the viruses you claim, which, by the way, it is EPA approved for the coronavirus. It's on their list. So right now it's labeled at 10 minutes, but we should have that label changed to 5 minutes on the go around, which will come out in about 2 weeks.
Okay, so how would that work? So we use the applicator, we spray, right?
Yep.
And then we let it sit for 5 minutes?
Yeah, for example, on that product, if you're using our applicator with the atmosphere chemical, it's the chemical that we sell is in a 1-gallon jug. We don't have it labeled for pre-diluted. You buy a 1-gallon container, and it's actually a 60-to-1. So 1 gallon makes 60 gallons, right? You put 2 tablespoons. But if you're filling this up, you put 1 tablespoon of the atmosphere in there. Fill it with water. There's a little fill dot right here. You fill it up. You fill it up to there, and then you pump it up, right? 15 times, whatever, 10 times, and that's it. You're ready to go. Right?
So 1 tablespoon, and then you fill up with the water for the whole bottle.
For the whole bottle.
Okay.
These are concentrates, right? We're actually ours is different than anything else out there. I mean, it actually has more active ingredient in it. It has some patented buffers in there that make it safer for most equipment, and it's really good stuff. I mean, I'm not here. We love other stuff. I'll tell you, we love the HOCl or the hypochlorous acid, but this is available, and really, it's hospital grade. It's really good stuff. And so once you have that mixed in your bottle, the good thing about it, unlike HOCl, is it has a 2-year shelf life, right? So meaning that you could leave it sitting in this bottle and not use it for 2 years, and it's just as strong 2 years from now.
Okay.
Where the HOCl has a 24-hour, anywhere from a 24-hour to 48-hour shelf life.
So that 1 gallon, if you purchase, by the way, for everybody, we'll already listed it on Zen, so that will be available for purchase. If you buy a gallon, you can open it up, use a tablespoon, put it in a bottle, put some water inside. The gallon itself and the bottle can be sitting for 2 years.
2 years.
Wow. Okay. Then another question is, as far as like holding the applicator, spraying. I don't know if the word spraying is the right word.
Let's talk about that, actually.
Okay.
There's a lot of terminology out there: spraying, fogging, misting, all that stuff. The truth of it is all the stuff out there basically is some form of spray, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's several different definitions of fog versus mist, mist versus spray. In our industry, the misting industry, right, we consider fog anything under 10 microns, mist anything under 150 microns. But that's just, there's no, that's it. But you talk to another company in New York that's in the misting business, they may have a different definition, right? So, and if you look at the real definition of what fog is actually a cloud. It's a vapor. It's not. It has nothing to do with spray. It's moisture turned into a gas. Is the definition of fog. Driven into fog, it's basically driving into a cloud on the ground. That's the true definition. The word fog came in the misting industry simply to somebody thought it was a better marketing term, right? So we're always trying to figure out ways to make our stuff sound finer and better and all that stuff. So that terminology came into there. Now the problem is when it comes to the disinfecting world, right? The EPA, right, does not like the word fog. It does not like the word mist. In fact, they're sending letters out to people that are claiming fogging and misting on their disinfectant label. So if you read the label of a disinfectant, you'll see coarse, the term coarse or sprayer or just sprayer, right? You never see the word fog applicator or mist applicator. So when I first started, right, and I think on Dr. Larkin's site, he labeled it fog, and I said, I don't think we're comfortable with that because the EPA doesn't like that word, right? It's like, is it a fog? I could call that a fog, but it's really a mist, right? And if you look at, we actually now call this a micro sprayer.
Okay.
And that is just to appease the EPA, and I don't want to knock them. They don't know misting. What they're concerned about is there are these thermal foggers, right? You probably have seen them. Like China was using them all over the place. Big long things. And they put out this big puff of it. Actually heats up the disinfectant, burns it, turns it into its smoke, and creates this huge fog. It's actually a dry fog, and it goes everywhere. Right? Those in the ULV cold foggers, those ones with a big fan motor, which is different, but those were all designed for mosquito spraying. Right? These foggers that are being used were not designed for indoor disinfecting. They were designed for outdoor, forceful application into plants and foliage and all that stuff. Now they're trying to take that stuff and put it into buildings. And the thermal foggers are dangerous because you're breathing too much chemicals. Because I could show you the videos, but I'm not going to take time to pull them up. Go ahead and go and look up thermal foggers, and you'll see. If you did your office with it, you'd be in a cloud of smoke for about 15 minutes. Right?
Oh,
That's how it works.
Yeah.
And maybe later on I'll pull up a video. It's just, anyway. So it's really understanding, because I know I get calls from a lot of dentists. We're called fogger on some things, misters on others. We're now streamlining that to be micro sprayer. But our micron size, which is between 10 and 50, is as small as you want to get. The EPA actually wants you to have 100 plus, but I'll get into why that is. But the true key to proper disinfecting, again, is having a high density. So high density means you have to have a lot of particles together, and they have to have some mass. So the true fog, which floats away, is actually very dry. It has no mass, so it doesn't actually get your surface wet at all. And if you have a bunch of particles coming out, they're not close enough together, then you get this spread out pattern of mist that doesn't fully disinfect the thing. I'm kind of going around in circles, but it's the key to having a proper applicator is to have the right density and have it being able to control, so you don't over wet and you don't make it too dry. You have to be able to get it 1 minute.
The perfect.
I'm going to keep saying dwell time because not a lot of people have heard about that, but the dwell time, if you look at any disinfectant, the ones that you've used for years, your bathroom cleaner with bleach, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Clorox wipes Clorox wipes don't use bleach. They actually use a similar cloth formula that we sell. They're soaked in this stuff. And if you read on there, you can even pull up one up. It says 10 minutes or 5 minutes. So you take one of those little wipes and you wipe off a surface, right? I never knew it had to stay wet, right? I'd wipe off my surface. If it was too wet, I'd take a paper towel and wipe it off. Now I know I'm not disinfecting. So
Interesting.
if you take anything away from this, just know that it's not rocket science to disinfect correctly. You just need to get it slightly damp enough to stay wet, whatever the label tells you to stay wet.
Okay, so let's go back to the actual application process. So we take 1 tablespoon, we dump it into the micro sprayer, right? We dump in the water, we close it up, and now we pump it 10 to 15 times.
Yeah.
And now we start spraying.
Pumped up. Yeah, this one's already pumped up at least to the 90 PSI beyond, right? I'm used to pumping these things. I mean, once it's pressurized this much, when you first start pumping it, right, very easy. As it builds pressure, it gets a little firmer, right? So people ask me all the time is, well, I'm not I don't work out. Can I get it to 90 PSI? The pump is designed so virtually anybody can pump it up to 90 PSI. This one's pumped, so it does take a little push, right? I'm putting a little imp into it.
Okay.
Can't just go, if I try to do it with one hand, you have to put it against a solid surface, whether it's that, glass table, however you want to do it.
Okay.
And then once it's pressurized, sometimes will want to stay up, just tap it down. Once it's pressurized, you just push this button. And you can lock the button on. Right?
So that you can keep applying
Keep applying, and I'm just going to show you a quick demo. But before I do that, I want to clear up a thing because I do get a few calls because what we're talking really about is surface disinfecting. I do get calls from dentists, or not even calls, some people but I don't want people to think that this is an air disinfector, right? The question comes up is, can I use that to disinfect the air in my office, right? Air disinfecting is a different process, right? There is no disinfectant on the market. HOCl, there is formulas, bleach, whatever. There is nothing. Lysol, right? Does not claim they can disinfect the air get rid of viruses, right? To do that, that's a different product. You're talking about HEPA filters. You're talking about air circulation, HEPA filters, and UV lighting, right? Right. But with that said, is you can get some sanitizing. You can clear and deodorize the air by getting rid of bacteria and some viruses by spray. Going to do that, but it's not designed for that. I just want people to understand that. We're talking about
surface disinfecting.
So disinfecting your chair, your tables, your light switches, your doorknobs, all that stuff. So with that, if you're going to do it, you have it pumped up. How quick it goes to get it wet, right? If I want to do my desk, even I have a computer here, right? I'm not saying you want to soak any electronics, but you have to use common sense. If you have an electronic that's very sensitive to moisture, you probably want to use a wipe, right? But things like this, you don't want to soak them, but it's okay, in my opinion, to spray it. So if I want to disinfect this, I'm just going to go. That is now disinfected. I leave it sit for 5 minutes. It's actually moist, right? But it's not soaked.
And the chemical that you use, the atmosphere, it's safe for like the hands, the skin, and all that. You don't need to use the gloves while you're doing it.
No, it's the same base formula that you find in all your disinfectant wipes. If you've ever gone to a grocery store and pulled out a disinfectant wipe to disinfect your handle,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm talking about?
Yep. Yep.
That's a
Yep.
quad ammonia, right? So Clorox wipes, Lysol wipes, they're usually a quat formula. So they're very safe. You don't have to rinse your hands. You don't have to rinse. I don't have to wipe this off. I can just let it dry. There is no rinsing needed.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay, so we covered how it works. We covered the microspray, the chemical that goes in it. We covered that. Okay, so how do you think like a typical treatment room, right? It's 10 by 10, 10 by 12, with a dental chair, with a back cabinet, with maybe side cabinets and maybe a couple arms and stuff. So how long would that one bottle last?
Um, it will. The bottle will last about 15 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes of continuous misting,
Okay.
right? As you just saw, to disinfect this took me 5 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
right? On our package or on our literature, we claim that this does 68 square feet a minute.
Okay.
All right.
So I would
So
probably say, yeah.
so it just to sum it up, and that all depends. It's all variable. So depending on whether you're in Arizona or Florida, which has different humidity and different dwell times and dry times and all that stuff, you just use that as a gauge. But I can go here, and I live in Phoenix, or my factory's in California, different climates. But I can go here in Arizona. I can disinfect a 100 square foot room in 45
Okay. Maybe I'll
multiple
ask
surfaces.
Rhonda. Rhonda, do you have an idea? How long would it take to apply the spray? A minute? It would be cool. And then you said it's the bottle is like 15 minutes, right? With continuous.
Yeah, if I just push this on. By the way, it continually misses. You may have to add a few pumps to it after it gets down a little bit lower,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not like you have to continually pump it, right? It's just once it's charged, you may lose a little pressure halfway through the bottle, and you might want to add a couple pumps, but that's it. So if I just let it spray there, it'll last, I guess I'm going to say between 10 and 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Again, maybe another question, not necessarily from related to the product itself, maybe the chemical, but what would you recommend after every patient?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I would recommend, and what I hear other dentists doing is exactly that they want something, number one, to keep their room disinfected for the next patient, but also a big part of all of this is to give your customers, your clients, some peace of mind that you're doing everything you can. So if you go out there and with a little wipe, and you wipe everything off, I guess you could do it that way, but I have been told by dentists that my clients really like me seeing me use some sort of applicator that looks official and does something. But anyways,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you'd want to do at least your dentist chair, any high touch surface area. For example, if they had to open a door, which they don't, right? But if they did, you'd want to disinfect the doorknob each time. If they had to turn on the light when they came in, you'd want to disinfect the light switch. So whatever and I'm not a dentist, so whatever the high touch surface area that client is going to be involved with, which is mainly your chair,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
I go in there, I'm going to sit down. I don't really touch anything, so it's really disinfecting that chair. Literally, will take you 3 seconds after each patient, and give it a couple minutes to dry. That next patient comes in, it's ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I'm really curious the feedback, what you guys have. Room turnover time is one of the main questions DS have right now. That's what Rhonda says. Well, Rhonda, help me out. Maybe Rhonda, maybe we can bring you in.
Bring her in.
Rhonda, shoot me a message if I can bring you in. Please. Let's talk about, because I think this is going to be good for a lot of officers to see how we actually going to apply this thing. Just wear the scrubs and you get to go.
She's like saying she's not ready.
Yeah, she's like, I'm in my robe. Yeah,
Well,
so
I'll get in our pajamas and we'll feel better.
yeah. So that's what I'm curious. Mike, while I'm trying to convince Rhonda to jump in, anything else we need to add? Because I know that
Um,
you've done so much in this, and I probably did a super poor job of like dissecting this information, and I'm sure I missed a lot of things.
there's, when I talk about this, again, I could spend a bunch of time trying to show off our company. Just go on to cloudburst.com. You can see who we are. Misting is our business, right? So we definitely know what we're talking about when it comes to atomizing things and do it the way it needs to be done for a certain, whether it's for, we would do, if we're doing this versus developing something for dust control or deodorant, it's all done differently, right? So we just match up what we're trying to accomplish with the technologies and engineers. The one thing I really like to have people understand um, is, I think I shared with you, Tiger. I disclaim the fact that I'm not a chemical engineer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I do not know, how to mix things together to come up with things, right? But and I wasn't that concerned about what disinfectants did and what they were. Bleach to me was a great disinfectant. Right? Since we've got into this, one of my things I like to do, I didn't think I put in there, is I love to research, right? So I probably got a gazillion degrees from engineering to law to from the University of Google, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thank God
Mm-hmm.
for Google, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Yeah.
and so I have spent countless hours of trying to figure out how to understand myself, what this whole disinfecting thing was. What was the right way to do it? What was the wrong way to do it? And the information is not out there easily to get, right? So as a dentist trying to go out there and figure out what does the EPA suggest to do? What does, the FDA, what is the, you know, Center of Disease Control, what all these things, what are they trying to tell us, right? They're trying to tell us, well, all I hear on is wash your hands, right? And don't touch your face. So,
Mm-hmm.
and disinfect. How do we disinfect, right? They came up with a list of approved chemicals that work for disinfecting on the coronavirus. Those aren't the only chemicals that work. Those are the ones that actually paid to get on, right? So if you find something that's similar, like our clot formula is EPA registered for coronavirus, it's on the list, right? But another clot formula that's the same that isn't on the list is probably just as good, right? It doesn't have the buffers. Ours is better. Not sell my product, but so that's to understand. Just find something that's going to work in coronavirus. Remember what I just said. Dwell time is, out of all the stuff I've read, that's what's important, right?
You said dwell time, right? Dwell time meaning you apply.
Time.
Yep, you apply the product, and how long it needs to stay wet until you either, I don't know, do whatever, but it needs to stay on the surface.
Needs to stay on the surface. The definition from the EPA is how long it needs to stay moist or damp, undisturbed, right? So meaning that you can't spray a bunch on and then sponge some of it off, right? Just needs to stay there. And so whether it's between, if it's the dwell time is 5 minutes, you can spray something on as long as it's a no rinse formula like our atmosphere. You don't have to rinse it afterwards. Just let it dry. You're good. Or if you're going to wipe something on before you wipe it off dry, you got to wait that 5 minutes. So it just needs to stay wet, undisturbed for 5 minutes, or whatever the label says. That's the key. If you know that and you actually go off and do that correctly, whether it's with our applicator, whether you use a sponge, whether you use a spray bottle, right? If you do that, you're disinfecting correctly. That's all you have to know, right? Now it comes down to how easily, how fast can I do that, okay? I have a video that I show me comparing this to a spray bottle, right? I'm disinfecting my kitchen. It's on there. It's a boring video. I won't make people watch it. But it literally took me 4 minutes to go in my little kitchen with a spray bottle. My forearm was just aching at the end of it. I probably need probably good for my muscles. I was just like, yeah, okay. Chicka, chicka, chicka. And I took my spray bottle, and I did it in literally 15 seconds. Same thing inside the sink, all over, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So did one disinfect better than the other? No, I probably not. But one was certainly a lot easier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Mike, I'm adding Rhonda. She
okay.
says she's ready.
All right.
Since we only have like 9 minutes left, I want to make sure.
That long, man. Time flies.
Time flies. It's crazy. Where's Rhonda? So Rhonda is awesome. She's one of the dental assistants, and she has her own podcast, and she's just a cool person.
Oh, good.
Chairside assistant.
Hey, do you have the atmosphere brochure I sent to you that you want to pop up before we go in 9 minutes? You need me to email it to you?
Atmosphere brochure. Yep.
I sent you an email with 3 or 4 things on it.
Yep. I have it.
Hi.
Rhonda.
Hi, Rhonda.
How are you?
You're looking great.
I put a scrub top on as directed.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So Rhonda, just hang on tight. I'm going to, Mike asked me to show this one document, and then I really want to talk about very quickly, without taking too much time, about like this whole process and how it's going to work for our offices. Okay. So Mike, can you see this?
Yeah, it just came up.
This is what you asked, right?
Yep.
Or the other
you can
document.
see in there, so you can see the top of it is our once we got the approval, COVID-19 EPA approval. That's the first part, the green part. You can go online to check. There's a list online. You can look up atmosphere. You can see it on there. This product is actually a 3-in-1, so it's a 6-log, which people don't really understand. It's real quick. There's a huge difference between 99.9 and 99.9999, right? The latter one is hospital grade true disinfecting, right? The difference of having, 100 viruses left after you're done versus 1 million viruses. So this is a true disinfectant. It deodorizes as well. So when you do spray it into the air, it actually not only deodorizes, it actually changes any actual foul smell or dangerous smells. It actually makes them benign, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually a cleaner. You can use it as a cleaner, and it actually will. You can spray this on a 5% soiled surface, meaning a dusty or not a heavily soiled surface, but a lightly soiled surface, and it still meets its claim, which is unique to disinfectant. You don't have to pre-clean unless it's really dirty.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the atmosphere.
That's awesome. We have it on Zen, so people will be able to buy it, and we'll send it out to Mike. Anything else on this page, Mike?
No, if you have the brochure online, they can just go in there and read it. I just wanted to have people see it before we left.
Yep.
And again, we're not the manufacturer of it. We are an authorized distributor of it. It is available. I'll just be upfront. Limited quantities. We're starting to up our supply chain of that product, but we have enough to ship. And that product will start shipping next week. So somebody put an order in today. It won't ship until next week.
That's awesome. Rhonda.
All right.
What do you think?
Rhonda.
Hi. I love it. I'm an old school dental assistant. I started in the 90s. So saturation was always key. If it didn't have a visible puddle, then we weren't doing it right. So, and then, there was like this whole thing about aerosols. And then I've worked for several dentists that are like, we're done. We're not putting that in the air anymore. Like, this is harmful for people's breathing it in. And then, to see kind of, finding that happy medium. I think is really something we've all been looking for, especially for the older school ones like us. We just didn't feel clean if it wasn't sitting in a puddle. And yet, others just wanted to wipe and go. So it's just peace of mind knowing that there's probably, finally a product that is a hybrid, if you will. It covers all the surfaces without being in a puddle.
Right, exactly. It does. And I get your point. Is like there's a lot of people. I'm gonna give you a quick example. I watch news a lot, and I watch the people coming up to disinfect the president's podium, and they do it wrong, right? They spray it on and wipe it right off, right? And they finally fixed it. Somebody realized that, and so the people that want to wipe it on, that's fine, but you need to let it sit. So somebody gave a good definition of our product. It's the kind of the Goldilocks zone. It doesn't make it too wet, doesn't make it too dry. It's just right? And that's kind of what we're trying to achieve, to get that dampness without having a visual puddle.
Yeah, and just that, there's always that human factor, and I like the velocity and the spray field that you guys have created with the nozzle. Like that is extremely interesting to me as a dental assistant, because we have been rushed or don't have time to, did I spray that? I don't know. Did I spray it? And then you spray it over and over. And like knowing that, this kind of gives you better surface reach without having to worry about, somebody missing parts.
Yeah,
you're right. I mean, it will give you the same fast and quickness as disinfecting a room as those bigger ULVs and stuff like that. And as you know, we sell backpack sprayers, electric 18-volt backpack sprayers, and some other stuff that work really good for larger areas. But for the dental offices, I'm telling you, we literally right now, I can hear my dinging of we have a store, and we're just selling a lot of them to dentists, and we've got a lot of good feedback. I guess. So I appreciate you coming on and telling us, Rhonda.
Well, we're ready for it. So
Rhonda, quick question.
Right.
Quick question. So let's just say now, after COVID, a lot of offices are shifting to different schedules, right? So we won't be able to double schedule for a little bit of time. So it will have to be back to back, right?
Right.
So the pressure on the teams now to turn over the rooms is even more higher.
It really is. We call it COVID pace. I don't know if that's a coined term or not, but that's what we've been using at the office, we're doing everything right by the book, and we're staying up to date with the science as it's released. And our patients, as long as we tell them in advance, we are at COVID pace practice right now. So if you have to wait in your car a little bit longer, please bear with us. Because there's so many variables as to, what the procedure before that patient was, and, how many elements were needed to complete that procedure, how many elements, it's just, so yeah, we're learning as we go. And it's challenging. Like the hardest part I've seen for dentists is we want to kind of recoup some of the revenue that we lost because of the stay-at-home orders. And we also want to keep our patients safe. So it's a very big struggle right now in the industry. And just, putting our patient safety first, our safety first. I think so many dental assistants know more about OSHA now than they ever have.
Yeah. Rhonda, just one thing, one quick thing on that. So turning over the rooms we need to do faster. How would this product be applied?
I like you said, he was sending it in to get it down to the 5 minutes. I think that right there is going to help peace of mind for a lot of practices who are pacing their schedule probably a little bit too far apart out of overabundance of caution. And just, keeping up with the science and knowing, what a standardized turnover time is what we're all kind of looking for.
Okay. Like you'll be able to spray it and pretty much go get patient. And then by the time you bring the patient in, the room should be technically disinfected, right?
It should be. It just keep in mind, again, I harp on this a lot, but because of new school, old school, the only thing I preach is just don't spray and wipe, right? If you don't let it sit for a little bit of time, you just might as well be spraying water, right? So, but if you say you overspray, like our sprayer, or somebody goes a little too slow, and you come back with your patient, and it's still a little damp, but it's been that 5 minutes, you can take a cloth and wipe off the chair so it's not damp, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you can set it, if our dwell time is 5 minutes, your turnaround time should be 5 minutes. Again, you can use our product with the HOCl, which is the hypochlorous acid, which a lot of dentists are using. They buy the little generators and make their own stuff. It's basically a form of chlorine that's pH neutral.
Mm-hmm.
It works with anything. So that has like a 2 minute or 3 minute dwell time. So depending on their disinfectant, spray it on, let it sit, get your patient.
Perfect.
Yeah. And, you know,
Perfect.
with our office too, we have had situations where the patients come back and maybe the chair's still a little moist. And that's where we use our verbiage. You know, we go above and beyond to make sure that this is a safe place for you. So a little bit of residual moisture in here just ensures how well we're cleaning and getting ready for you.
Awesome.
A while back, you said, at least there's not a puddle.
Yeah, or sit in a puddle. Awesome. Mike, thank you so much. Rhonda, thank you for jumping in. This is totally unexpected, but I really appreciate your time and jumping in and giving the perspective from the dental assistant. I think that's exactly what we're looking for. Mike, anything else that we need to add? Or Rhonda, anything else would you like to add?
It's on the Zen website. What are we looking at cost-wise? Like, what's a ballpark? Let's say if we had to break it down to operatories, like square footage, right? Is that what we're talking about? Let's say I have a 5-bay practice or 5 operatories. How much should we order?
As far as the atmosphere chemical goes, I would start off with 1 gallon, right? That's because that's going to make 60 gallons. Okay. Right. Once we get our new label, we'll have a dilution rate of 120 to 1. Right now it's 60 to 1. So that's 60 gallons. That 60 gallons is going to last you in that type of office probably 4 to 5 months.
Okay.
Easily. All right. As far as applicators go, most dentists are doing 1 per room. You said you had 5?
We have 5 at my
5 rooms? Yeah, so most of them are doing like 1 or maybe an extra one for the receptionist area, so probably 6. And cost-wise, it's $68 for the atmosphere. So 1 gallon costs $68, which equates to a whopping $1.13 per gallon, right? So it's pretty reasonable. The applicators are $49.95. I've been told by many dentists I should be charging $100, but it's like.
And Mike, I do need to add, you were great enough to give a better price for Zen members. So for all the Zen people, this is going to be even less than that. So there's going to be,
And it literally, if you compare it online to other things that, real quick, ULV sprayers work great. Those cold foggers work great for large areas. If you try to bring them in, and a lot of dentists have brought them in, you'll realize it's like a leaf blower. It has a strong airflow like a leaf blower. And so you can't really disinfect a small office with it. And the electrostatic sprayers that cost $700, my advice is just stay away from them because they don't do what they say.
Awesome.
There's other good products. Don't get me wrong.
Does it help?
Don't get me wrong. There's other good products.
Sweet. All right, guys. I want to be respectful to your time. We're like 4 minutes past. Mike, let's give it a try with all of our offices, trying it and working on it, and then maybe we'll bring you back to discuss more questions if people will have. So I'll be excited to have this discussion again, maybe in a month or 2.
Okay. Hey, Ron, I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Rhonda. Yeah, thanks so much. Mike, and thanks so much for your time. So we'll be talking offline about how to get these orders out to you, okay?
All right, Tiger. Thanks for having me on.
Of course.
It's been a pleasure.
Of course. All right. Thank you all.
Bye.
Yep. Thank you, Mike. Bye-bye.